So tell us about your Ivanhoe.
My Ivanhoe. This is my first Ivanhoe that I've had. I've had this for about, let's see now, let's do the math on it. 95, about 13, 14 years now, pretty close to it. And the story is, I was working with Tony Rice Unit as a guest at Merle Fest in 1995. And I'm sorry, it was 96, I apologize, 1996. And we were working the Hillside stage and the Midnight Jam. And I was playing, I have an old 1927 Vega Tubaphone number 9. And that was my primary banjo that I recorded all the clawgrass stuff with on that first album. And I had met John Hartford several times and knew that he was affiliated with you, Janet, and Greg Deering. And he came up to me backstage at Merlefest and said, "Mark, I think I found your banjo." He says, "Come on with me." So he walked me over. We went over onto the big tent, and that's where I met you, Janet, and Greg. And there this banjo was sitting there on a stand like that. And I just looked at it and I go, wow. And I go, I'll never be able to handle that cost like that. And it wasn't, it was one of these things that I performed. John Hartford introduced me to you, and I performed with my Vega, and then you guys let me try this thing. I just fell in love with it. And you talked to me about a possible endorsement deal, and that's how it came about. I remember we connected with each other via the mail, and you guys sent it down to me, and I just fell in love with it. And it's got to be one of the most incredible, achievable banjos for the cost, for the price that you can get. It's got everything that I need in an instrument that gets the tone and the clarity. It's got the full bluegrass scale. It's got a great speed neck on this thing. This is before the great machines that they use right now that you guys use to create your banjo necks. This is hand done. And it just has it's the response on the low levels, like when you play I like to snap my bass strings. It's got the whole range. And in fact, this banjo in particular was one that I used to record my first album with Emery Lester, acoustic campaign. And it's another one of these albums that pushed us forward again. And it was this instrument that did. I couldn't have done this on that old Vega. I was wearing it out. It was time to put it up and have it as a beautiful memory and play it around the house. These are my road banjos, and this is my primary banjo. I've had it for, like I said, 13 to 14 years. It's absolutely gorgeous. You don't need to get all the heavy gold and glitter on it, although I love it, But you can get an Ivanhoe model custom made to yourself. You can have it as plain Jane as possible and cut costs down, as long as it's got the great materials, the walnut, the bell brass, the gold plating on the bell brass really helps out, and the ebony, the deep ebony on the fretboard. It's the materials that make the sound, and the player, of course. But these are concert-grade instruments, and I couldn't live without it.
That's great. And how do you have it set up?
Well, I have it set up like my other custom banjo, almost identical. I don't want too much change going on there. I've got a high bridge. I either play a Snuffy Smith or a Silvio Ferretti bridge, compensated on the third. I use medium light strings with 10s on the outside, a 20 wound, a 13 and 11. I've got, let's see what else. I keep the head at I keep it pretty tight, pretty brisk. Not too tight. You'll lose that deep end on those strings if you really tuck it down too much. And that's pretty much about it. It's a full bluegrass scale, which I'm used to playing bluegrass. Scruggs playing myself, as well as a clawhammer kind of clawgrass kind of guy. So that's pretty much it. It's an open back instrument, as you can see, but it's got one of the earlier 20-hole Deering flathead tone rings in it. That is a superb tone ring. I love it. It has its own sound, and everything is settled in over the years with it. And it's got that little extra. It's got a lot of extra beauty in it that I require in a banjo. Makes me feel good when I play. that's pretty much it. It's an incredible instrument. For the price, you can't go wrong with Deering. And if you are real interested in something like this thing, playing an open-back banjo, a real high-end open-back banjo, give me a call. I'll talk to you about it. And I'll tell you all about it. And if we're at a festival, I'll let you play my banjos and you can see for yourself.